You're listening to That Home Loan Hub. I'm Zibuni Salimova, here to make home loans and property investing simple, smart and stress-free. Let's get you closer to your property dreams. Hello and welcome to Karl Matakatea from Sold on Kapiti. Hello Karl, thank you for joining me today.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. It's so cool to have you here. Absolutely honoured. What a beautiful day as well.
Stunning Kapiti Coast day.
Can I just say? Karl, for those that don't know about you, which is, I think everyone knows you, but for those that don't know about you, can we please start with by you telling me a little bit about yourself, or telling our listeners about yourself and your journey, who you are, what you do.
Cool.
Take it away.
Yeah, cool. So I'm a local real estate agent on the Kapiti Coast, have my own little company called Sold on Kapiti Real Estate. Up until recently, I was in business with Chris Judd, who has just left to run the Waikanae golf course, which is right next door, coincidentally. So it's a happy divorce. He's gone to follow his dreams. So now the business is mine. And with that comes change. And so my partner's just jumped into the business, Geordie, and we've just hired a little gun called Zoe, little Italian. She's got fire in her belly. She's great. So I'm in what I call SOC 2.0 phase of the business. And it's really exciting. But, we started 6 years ago on a whim. There was three of us. So there was Sa, who's a Samoan guy. Yeah. He came from, videography background, TV. He was a presenter on the news. And then there was Chris, who was a pro golfer, came back to New Zealand. And then there was me. I was working for another brand as the trainer. And we formed this company, and it's flown. It's been great. The brand's been really good for the coast. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, everywhere I turn, I see you guys. So you're obviously doing something amazing. And your socials, I think that's what caught people's attention. The way you engage with your people. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about how you've been doing things differently to your standard real estate agent thingy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really funny because when we set up the company, we didn't have much money. So we used SaaS skills to create content and social media to really put ourselves out there. And I think what came through is that we were authentic, but we were also doing stuff that kind of pushed the boundaries a little bit. We'd be doing stuff with local businesses. And at that time, people are doing it now, but then it was just very foreign to local agents because, we joined 6 years ago. So at that time, the average age of the agent on the coast was much older than where it is probably today, which is pretty cool. So we use socials to build our business. It's really funny. We've never had a bus back. We've never had a billboard.
Hey. There's nothing wrong with the bus back.
There's nothing wrong with the bus back. But you got to remember, there are three guys that, left their jobs.
Yes.
And they're like, $1,200 a month for a bus back or something like that?
Yeah.
So we've never had one, but we're starting to go into that phase. But, yeah, socials is where we grew our business. And, we're still growing through that platform. And it's funny because people know us before we know them. Like, you think about also open homes, people are coming through, there's 25 groups. They kind of know you from socials if they've seen you. So that's pretty cool. And I did a video recently on a property in Rosetta Road and I jumped into the ocean because the videographer told me to. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I did it. I didn't want to be naff, but I was like, well, this is the lifestyle. You know how many people have come up to me and talked to me about that swim in the ocean and how cold it was that day? And that's pretty cool.
That's commitment, Karl.
It's real commitment. And it was freezing and the water was also quite brown. So I was like, are we doing this? Is this going to look good? But hey, I got the reaction that we wanted. So yeah.
Wow. That's, I'm just trying to think of times when I would have thrown myself into the ocean.
Yeah.
No, me and ocean don't go well together. So I absolutely take my hat off.
Thank you.
To you because I know how cold the water is.
Yes. But we're coming into summer. It's going to be warmer.
It's going to be warmer. And I think we're quite blessed here in Kapiti as well. So tell me a little bit about the properties that you normally sell. Are they mostly in Kapiti Coast? Or,
yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, so obviously we're sold on Kapiti. So our focus is basically Paikok to Te Horo Beach area. But we mainly do Raumati, Paraparaumu and Waikanae. And it's really funny because we jump across the coast. It just really depends on who our clients are and where they are, really. In terms of the bands of properties we sell all the way across the market. But, I guess our bread and butter is between 750 and just over $1 million is our average type of property we're selling. But, we sell higher end things.
What was the most expensive property you've sold?
2.4 million.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was 2.4. Yeah.
Because I remember meeting you a few years ago and you were selling this gorgeous property by the airport.
Oh, yes.
Paraparaumu Airport.
Yeah, I took you through that one.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That was such a cool property. And, at that time we were selling that property, there was a bit of talk about the airport being developed.
Yeah.
But, that was a pretty epic listing. When you get those kind of listings, they're just pretty special. They're a lot more work, though.
Yeah.
We sell anything from a property like that to a Beasley box. I love a Beasley box.
What's a Beasley box?
A Beasley box.
Explain for those that don't know.
A Beasley box is an 80s kind of rectangle, 70 to 90 square metre house on piles, fibre cement sheeting, normally a tin roof, just, really easy house to look after, maintain, and just a great first home. My first home was a Beasley box. So
cool. How long ago did you buy your first home?
2013. Mm-hmm. Brought it from, it was pretty random actually. I'm from Levin, so born and bred in Levin. So we lived in Wellington at the time and we really wanted to buy in Wellington, but we also liked our life and we could afford to buy something there, but it would have restricted, we were travelling and doing all that kind of stuff. So what I ended up doing was buying a property from a real estate agent who had unfortunately gone bankrupt, and she had negotiated with the bank to sell all 20 of their properties.
Whoa.
So what she was getting out of it was her commission. But, it was quite a weird transaction. So I bought it directly from her. She was lovely, but it was a pretty weird way to buy a house. And I actually bought it without my partner because he didn't want to buy it. Mm-hmm. And I paid $72,300 in 2013.
That's a steal.
At the time, that's a steal. So it did come with a interesting tenant, and it was in very good state. We bought it, and I thought, oh look, we'll just chuck 10 grand into it, put some carpet in, paint the walls, and then re-rent it. It took 6 months, $30,000, and it was empty while we did it up because, as you know, when you pull things out,
you find surprises.
Wet bricks, floor, all that kind of stuff. So, but to be honest with you, that was probably the best purchase that I've ever made in terms of property because it really kicked us off onto the ladder. Minimal risk in terms of debt to really kind of pay it down as quickly as we can and as we could actually. So, yeah.
Have you still got that property?
No. So what we did was we ended up buying another one 100%. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up selling the first one, we profit.
Yep.
And then it paid for the purchase of our land and our new house that we're in at the moment. So if we hadn't have purchased that property, we wouldn't be in the house that we're in now. And trying to tell first-home buyers this story is, I find it really important because it's not where you kind of start, it's where you plan to be. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you probably have these discussions every day. I don't think we'd be in the house that we're in if we didn't buy that little $72,000 house and live in.
Yeah. And that's what I say to my customers as well, or clients, that your first home is not your forever home. Mm-hmm. And I was in a very similar situation too. I mean, my first home, I bought it in 2011 in Palmerston North, and that cost me $170K.
Nice.
But I still got that property, and over time it just continued to go up in value, and I managed to leverage off that property to buy
equity,
other properties. And then also, just being in the right place at the right time sometimes helps, and buying, selling, etc. So are you investing at the moment? Have you got?
No, look, I've done a bit of a 360. I know you probably won't like my strategy or my plan here, but so what happened was when we started to earn some okay money in real estate, even the boys, we all bought extra properties. And so 1 week, I don't know what happened, but we ended up buying a section here in Waikanae and then a little pad in town off the plans. Mm-hmm. And the plan was to sell our house we were in and have the best of both worlds. The reason for the pad in town is that we like to go into town a bit and party. But I don't drink anymore, neither does my partner. And by the time it came to settling on the apartment in town, the interest rates were through the roof, and we could have afforded it, but we would have been topping it up. So I made a call to actually, let's just get rid of the apartment. So we settled on the Friday. We had it advertised prior to it going to market because I knew what to do.
Yeah.
And we sold it on the Tuesday. What ended up happening was in that particular block, all of the other people that had just settled that didn't want to keep the apartments went onto the market the week after, and then it got saturated. So we ended up selling that apartment. I'm going into a bit of detail here and on a tangent. And then we've got our land, which we're going to sell next year. I'm hoping that Dana and Regan get our landed home package on it. But, we're not desperate to sell it. But once we sell it, my goal is to pay my house off next year and just not owe anyone any money.
Yeah.
Like any banks for a while. We will obviously buy something else later on, but I just want to not owe anyone any money.
Yeah.
And that's because, I didn't come from a wealthy background and I'm not wealthy at all, but it'd be pretty cool to be mortgage free.
Absolutely.
I'm 35, so goal is by 37 to walk into the bank, say, here you go, see you later. We'll see you in a year or two when I want some more money.
That's inspiring. You know what, Karl? That's absolutely inspiring because for someone, as you said, your age, to already have a property, have a land on the go as well at the same time, and able to see that vision of, look, in 2 years' time, I want to be mortgage free and just live that life freely. If you want to go travel, because I know you guys like traveling as well.
I love traveling.
You don't want to be stuck here feeling that you've got all this.
Yeah, and I think that, in this job, you see all sorts of people.
Yeah.
I've met some of the wealthiest people I know that you'd never know about, and I've met someone who, has won a lot of money, and I've met the opposite end of it where people are just, on the bare minimum and times are tough. And I think I'm never having kids or anything like that. So I need to think about retirement and stuff like that, but I just need to I just want to be free. Yeah. And I keep saying that once I get to 40, I'm going to be done with real estate. I've got 2 careers left in me. So it would be nice just to be paid off and then actually figure out what I'm going to do. Because I think it's really important now that we wake up every morning and do what we want to do and love what we do. And for years I just went and worked for the man and earned a wage to pay the bills. And now I do what I love. But there is 2 more careers left in me, and I think the day I wake up and think I'm over real estate is the day that I'm actually going to figure out that I'm actually going to transition out like Chris did. But as I say, I've still got 4 or 5 years left in me, I think. So having that security of having a freehold home is really cool.
Absolutely. Can I just give you a tip though?
Yes.
So when you do pay off your mortgage, just make sure you keep your house still as a security with the bank.
On the title.
Yeah. Because a lot of people make this mistake. They go away and they go, I paid off my mortgage. I don't want the bank to own it.
Yes.
But what they don't realize is that it costs you money to discharge it. So it's going to cost you probably $1,200 to discharge. And then you go back when you do want the money 3 years later.
Yes.
The bank will charge you, the lawyers will charge you again to put the security back with the bank.
Yes. Okay.
So at least this way, it still stays with that bank.
Yes.
Doesn't cost you anything, doesn't cost them anything.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Leaves the door open.
Yes.
If you do want to borrow money.
Yes.
And saving you a little bit of money.
What would you do if you were me? So I'm, 2 years from now, the house is paid off.
Yeah.
What would you do? Because I know you'll probably have a different view because I know you're an investor.
Yes, it's a tough one because as you were saying that, I was like, oh, that would be really cool to be mortgage free, to be honest. That would be really cool. Some days I wake up and I'm like, damn, I just want to sell it all and just be mortgage free and just, go travel.
Yes.
Really just pack my bags because I can do my job from anywhere in the world.
Yes.
And I just want to show my kids the world a little bit more.
Amazing. I love that.
But then I do think, because as you say, I've come from a background of not much money at all. My family's academics. My mum was a teacher and then working in the government. My dad was in journalism and politics. So there was never really much money and no education about wealth and how to build wealth. So when my father passed away, we were left homeless. And for me, having a house, having a security is a core of what I do and why I do it.
Yes.
So when I had my children, I was like, cool, I have to have at least one house per child.
Yes.
I didn't realize I'll have 4 kids.
So that's a minimum of 5 houses, including the primary.
Exactly. So, yeah, spoiler alert, I do have to have at least, 5 properties in my pocket, I feel like, just to set them up for the future.
Yeah. What's hard for kids, the next generation?
It's going to get even harder, I mean, we were lucky, you bought it at 70K, I bought it at 160K. And I know the salaries weren't as big back then, but still it wasn't as disproportional as it is right now. I mean, most of, as you said, most of the houses you sell between 750 to $1 million. And that's what most of the mortgages are these days, because people come in with 10% deposit or 20% deposit, but then still the salaries are not
reflective of that servicing. Yeah. It's interesting. So you want to have 5 properties. How many do you have?
6.
Okay.
So I'm there. I'm
Tick
okay.
that box. So, okay, that's great.
Yeah. And I mean, 5 of them are residential. So that's, houses, normal houses. And then I've got my commercial building where the office is.
Oh, in Waikanae?
Yeah.
What do you think about commercial investing?
It could be really good if you've got a good tenant. And I mean, commercial buildings usually known for, in terms of investment, they're good because the tenant pays for rates and insurances and everything. You just have to have the building. But if the tenant leaves, and usually you go through a period of time where you can't tenant it back. So commercial buildings can have that aspect to them. And I mean, a lot of contracts are signed up for 15 years, with 5 years, every 5-year renewal sort of thing, 3 times renewal. But again, it's just, the risk of getting the right tenant in.
Yes.
And unless you're owner operating yourself sometimes, like for instance, my building, it's big enough to convert it into big office space if my tenant leaves.
Okay. And you can also chop it up so you've got multiple incomes and security that there's no risk.
Can do that. Yeah.
Do you do much lending on commercial?
I do.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you always think residential, but of course there's commercial property to be purchased. And nice.
Tell me, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Tell me what the property market is doing right now that we're talking about houses. What are you seeing at the moment? Are we seeing the increase? Because that's what I'm saying, that it's going to get crazy soon.
I think that those that have been sitting on the fence waiting for it to hit the bottom are now reacting to the OCR changes, the interest rate changes, and there is activity in the market. We're obviously in spring, but the open homes are certainly busy. We've had a few properties that have sat for a little while, and now they're an offer. So I think that based on the numbers at the open homes and also what we're getting into offer, and also some of the results, like at a 3-way multi last week, it's been a while since we've had those kind of numbers happening. I think that the market is on the way moving up. I don't know if the values are going to be increasing, really rapidly like we were seeing in COVID.
Yeah.
But I think we've hit the bottom. And we're only going to be moving one way, I think. And I think it's going to be a gradual climb.
Yeah.
I still think it's the market where you move from A to B, though, because you know how in COVID times, like people that were in the first home wanting to go to the second home, it was a really big jump.
Yeah.
I think if you're in that position, I'd still be looking to move from A to B right now while you can. But, we're really lucky on the coast because we've got some good things going for us. The road, we've got a pretty cool lifestyle out here. Like if you're we call them Kevin and Susan, like in town, 55, the kids have left home, they've got the big family home or the old house upstairs. They come out here, they're like kids in a candy shop because they get a garage, they get drive on, they get double glazing, they get aluminium joinery. Those kind of things are really valuable to buyers from town. So
they get no wind. Crazy wind.
They get no crazy wind. They get wider roads. They get, better access. And they're still within the catchment of the Wellington Hospital, which is really important for people moving north. So I think we've got a number of, assets out here that people are seeing to be quite valuable. And people that live out here, like the coast is pretty cool.
Yeah. And look, I've started up Waikanae Business Association a couple of years ago in that spirit of let's bring life back to Waikanae.
Yes.
Because as a young mum to young kids, I was feeling like there is not much to do and the businesses started to shut down. And also because my own business was suffering in the retail space with my other hat on. I had to do something,
Yes.
if you want to be the change you got to lead the change. That's
Yes.
always been my phrase. So, being on top of those things, and seeing how much activity is actually going on, like we've got different shops opening up,
Yes.
is really, really cool. And we're in good touch with like Paraparumu Business Association and Raumati, just trying to bring back life into this place.
It's really funny. Like when we were kids, my grandma, she had a house in Waikanae, and we just used to think it was just, the retirement village for all the Wellingtonians. And, she was from Wellington, and it really was. But now I quite often say to people, you don't go to Waikanae to die anymore. Dare I say that? You go there to live.
Yeah.
Because the age group of people that we're selling to in Waikanae is actually much lower than what it probably was 10 years ago. And I think access to Waikanae especially is so much easier now.
Yeah.
I can't believe we had a one-lane road up until 3 or 4 years ago whenever TG opened.
Yeah.
That's pretty gnarly for New Zealand, There was only one way in and one way out.
Crazy, eh?
Down you could go around Peka Peka, but, for Wellingtonians to come to Waikanae Beach, you'd have to go the old main road.
Yeah.
And up Te Moana, which is like so
Forever.
slow. Yeah. It's like, how can you do 50K up Te Moana? I do now, but, it feels
It used to be 70 before, apparently.
okay.
Yeah, back in the day. But yes, it does feel like the New Zealand's longest street ever.
It does. So, but it leads you to the beach, so.
It does. I mean, as I said in the beginning, we are quite lucky. We've got a couple of good eateries around here, good coffee, good food, the vibe, the markets.
Yes, Saturday markets. So.
Yeah, I think it's very good. So tell me about your babies. I know you've got a couple of babies.
Yes, so I've got 2 little Labradoodles. I've got Charlie, who's 4. And he's pretty cool. He's got blue eyes, and he's got a really nice nature, and he's kind of pretty chill like my partner. And then I've got a fluffy boy called Darcy, Mr. Darcy, and he's just over 1. He's like a complete nut job.
Like you?
Yeah, he's kind of like me, and he's very similar to me, and he's just a big ball of fluff. He's very cool, but he's got a bit of a temper on him. I don't have a temper, but he's crazy. So, yeah, they're my babies. They are my, go home from work. Like I went home last night, got home 7:30 and just, open the door, and that's the best thing to see. So, And with Geordie working with me now, it's interesting because me and Geordie have been together 14 years, and now he's just come into the business as of 2 weeks ago. We work together, we sleep together, we have dinner together, and it's a really interesting time for us because we're together all the time, and it's actually pretty cool. I didn't know how it would go because I know Geordie as a human and as a partner outside of work. I don't know him in the business, and he's bringing some value, I tell you.
Good, because that was my next question. Yeah, I actually written it down. Tell me more about Geordie and how's that going?
It's good. It's really good. He's a bit of an introvert, Geordie, but he's a very smart man. And since I've been with him, he has done so many papers. He's done a degree. He's done his master's. He's done his real estate ticket. And he brings, I guess, the qualities that I don't bring. And also, he's kind of filling Chris's gap. Because me and Chris were business partners, and now me and Geordie are. I've brought him on because he can do all the things that I don't like doing. And that was a lot of what Chris brought. So, yeah, he really is my yin to the yang in the business. So
that's beautiful. I honestly wish both of you the best working relationship, because it can be hard sometimes, for people to manage working relationship life.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're also very lucky because I think that people that are business partners that also have children, that's another element. I don't know how
Been there, done that.
Yeah, but I don't know how you
got divorced.
Yeah.
I can laugh about it now.
Yeah. Well, it's in the water, isn't it, at the moment? So I think, though, I take my hat off to you parents that, our jobs are very demanding.
Totally.
And when you've got 4 little humans that are demanding, that's pretty gnarly. I guess you manage resourcing well and support, but, we don't have that element in our business, which is great, but I really take my hat off to parents that do real estate broker. Because, you do hours I suspect you're on Zoom calls at 8 o'clock with people. Yeah. So how do you manage that actually? How does the work-life balance work for you?
I love how this interview is turning
I know, sorry.
You're interviewing me. I
want to learn because I want some work-life balance sometimes too.
I love it. Look, Initially, when I first got this business, it was to work around the young family. Because when I first got into the mortgages, just like it was over 6 years ago, funny enough, celebrate my 6 years this year in June.
Nice.
And
Congrats.
thank you. And my third son at that time was only 6 months old. So I left the bank, a nice cozy job, working 9 to 3, and gone into this world of, hey, you can be your own boss, you can work your own hours. It was sold to me as a dream that I can just be there for my kids.
Flexibility.
You can just see one client a week. It'll be fine. Oh, Lordy.
I know.
I got hit really big, really fast because when I left the bank on maternity leave, a lot of my clients then realized I'm not coming back. And they were like, hold on a second, where did she go? So they started looking for me. And it was a name like mine. Yes. And I guess similar to yours, you've got different name too. Yes. You've got really cool first name, really cool surname. We can't hide. People find us via Google, etc. So I got busy really, really fast. So what I learned fast is, okay, I can only work around the baby's time, right? When the baby sleeps, it was lunchtime, I would go for a walk, I would time my baby nap, and I would set up meetings with people in the local cafe. So by the time I get there, the baby's asleep in the pram, have my meetings, finish the meeting, go home, the baby wakes up. Awesome. And then at night was the same thing where I would put the baby to sleep and I'll just hop on a Zoom meeting with clients. So from 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, sometimes, I'll be just working crazy hours. And I mean, back in the day, I didn't have any support. So that was much, much harder as well. Now I've got several personal assistants that are doing a lot of background work. Like you said, work that I don't enjoy doing. I don't like sitting there shifting through people's bank statements. I mean, that's not enjoyable for me. My assistants do that.
Nice. So would you say that your job is to be the front and be the people person, and that's what you do? Yeah. Get the information, pass it on. Yeah.
And fight the battle with the banks. So I'm still the point of contact between the client and the bank. So if the bank doesn't understand something or they want to question things or they want to decline a deal, I go fight. So I love that. Honestly, it fires me up because if I see there's a deal in it and I know my client believes there's a deal in it, I'll go. But there are certain deals where I'm like, I don't know about that one. I would usually step away and I wouldn't fight. So I try to use my favors where I can because I've got so many connections now the last few years that I've built with the banks and the bank managers that I know if I need that favor, like if you, for instance, have a property that needs to settle ASAP, the deal has fallen through, we only have 5 days for finance, etc. I can pick up that phone, I can call for those favors. But often I don't do that every time for everybody. It's only for special cases.
I know I'm turning this into an interview for you, but it is a question that I've often had. Like, when you put an application into the bank, is there actually someone in a back room that actually looks through that application and there is one person that says yes or no? Is that how it kind of works? They review everything and then they just decide, and it depends who you get on the day. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, and we do have a joke sometimes when a certain banker picks it up and I'm like, oh God, here we go. There's a decline coming, because there's certain bankers that have been there for way too long.
Yes.
And they just see everything in a negative light.
Too much risk.
Risk adverse. And then there are other bankers that they'll pick up the phone and be like, okay, how can we make it work? Yeah. It looks a little bit curly here, looks a little bit hairy. How can we make it work? So it often depends on the mortgage advisor, the relationship they have with the banker and the banker on the other side. There have been few declines where I've absolutely questioned and I went for bet and I managed to overturn, again, due to my experience. If it was a brand new mortgage broker that didn't know what they were doing, and if they got a decline, I'm like, oh, well, it's decline.
Yeah.
Too hard.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And second tier lending, is that a thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of people don't understand about the second tier lenders, they're good for my developers and flippers. I deal a lot with those sort of clients as well. Do you see that coming back into the market?
It's interesting. We had a property in Raumati, little Beasley box, and we had, I think, 12, 13 groups through first open, and we had about 5 of them were investors. So, and flippers, people that want to get in there, chuck 30K at it and then put it back on the market. So haven't seen that for a very long time. When we appraise properties, we often think of who our buyer is, and 3-4 years ago when if I appraised that property, it would have been an investor, but just haven't seen them. So that was a real sign that
Yeah.
they are looking to come back into the market for the right deal.
Yeah. And the second tiers have also dropped their rates. I mean,
Yes.
back in COVID times, we were sitting about 9.5%, 10%. Now we're actually sitting at about 8.5%, 9%. So it's
Okay.
really good sign for
Yes.
the flippers, because normally they wouldn't go to the bank to get their
Yes.
lending.
Yes.
And they need to do it fast. So they get in, as you say, chuck 30K, get a new paying carpet, etc., get out.
Because it's a short time of the loan, isn't it? So they just want to kind of get in and get out and do it really quickly. So I guess the banks don't find that too attractive because they're not making too much money.
They're not making any money. Yeah, and it's a lot of work. It's someone sitting there doing the application.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Can you tell me about Zoe before we finish off?
Yes, sure.
Tell me about Zoe. Who is Zoe? Where did you find her?
Zoe. Now, Zoe, it's really interesting because Chris told me that he was going to go and join the golf club. And to be fair, we've been talking about it for a wee while. He's got a little girl and he wants to, live his life with her. So my immediate thoughts are, what am I going to do? So I booked a big holiday. I went on holiday because I needed to process it and think about it. And while I was away, I was thinking I need to have someone else join the team. Financially, it would have made sense for me to stay in the business and just run the ship. But it's not all about money. I want to celebrate success. I want to work with someone. And so I put an ad out, and it was really interesting, the amount of people that contacted me, but I just didn't get the vibe of who I wanted. And I wanted someone to join my team. And I basically just wanted someone to walk in and replace Chris with the photo and stuff. And it's quite ironic because I quite often say to Zoe, you're just a younger version of Chris. You've got the blue eye, the blonde hair and all that kind of stuff. And so Zoe, she is a young agent. She worked for another brand and she's really good on the socials. She's really outgoing. She's fresh and she is bringing a bit of flavour to SOC. And we've been into appraisals recently and we complement each other.
Yeah.
And I think one thing is in this job, you've got to be relatable and listen. And I think that's a skill that she has and it's really important you have that. So she's been in the business with me 2.5 weeks. It feels like 2 years, to be honest. So it's been pretty cool. We're already making some social stuff. I mean, she's the generation below me, so I'm moving into that next
You
age.
and I together, baby.
And and it's cool though because she's all over TikTok and she's doing all that kind of stuff, and I love that stuff. And I think as real estate agents, we've got to change with the times.
Yeah.
And I'm keen to do it, and sometimes I'm pretty good at it with some of the technology stuff. But bringing Zoe in, she's going to add a lot of value there. But just in terms of, real estate, because all three of us are real estate agents too. Mm-hmm. So, we had Sar, Chris and me that were all licensed, and now I've got three of us back on board. So, Zoe's cool. So watch this space.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited. So here is your prime time. Where can people go and find you?
Okay.
Give yourself a shout out.
Yeah, cool. So Sold on Kapiti is on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, soldonKapiti.co.nz. 0800 numbers 0800 527 181. Give us a call if you want an appraisal or just want to chat about buying property. We're always here to help.
Thank you. And to wrap it up, one last question. I'm going to start asking all my people as they come in. Mm-hmm. What fills your cup?
What fills my cup? Winning. Winning fills my cup. And actually, really making sure that we do the transaction justice for our vendors and our buyers. I mean, it sounds really cliche, I love people and all that kind of stuff, but genuinely, I love being part of that wheel and making that big move, do it justice for the vendors. So that's really what fills my cup. And also just, because when you sell a property, it is so stressful for people.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
I have to go to a hairdresser now every few weeks because my hair's turning grey.
Embrace the greys. Real estate has given me so many greys. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent. But, just really carrying people through those moments and that really big change in their life. You put a lot of trust into us. And so, I love being part of that.
That's amazing. Karl, thank you so much for coming today. Absolutely enjoyed having you. I feel like we can just go on forever.
Yeah.
So we have to do this again, promise me.
Absolutely. I'm keen.
I'm keen to see the journey. And at one point, I would love for you to bring back Jordy and Zoe here as well.
I'd love that.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Ebony. So cheers.
Thank you. And that's a wrap on that Home Loan Hub. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join me next time for more property tips and tricks. Your next smart move starts here.